What's up? Um, I would like to say that I had thought about it ahead of time to essentially skip the last couple weeks and have my last video be in Suicide Prevention Month, and then just go. I don't want to do anything else, and there was a small part of the decision for that. The other one was that I completely forgot about it, and then um, leads me to today. And I gotta say that I didn't know what was going on with me. Um, been going through a lot of stuff mentally lately. Um, a lot of things weighing on my mind. Um, a lot of a lot of questioning damn near anything and everything. And it was crazy because I opened up Firefox, and there was this article on here. What a lack of social contact does to your brain. Um, from openculture.com. And it references the YouTube video, and I didn't want to watch the video, but thankfully down here they have a 4 paragraph spot for it. And it's interesting because this gave me a lot of insight as far as what's going on with me. Um, what they wrote here for, I guess, their own interpretation or synopsis of the video is: to many of us, the concept of solitary confinement may not sound all that bad. Finally, a reprieve from the siege of social and professional requests. Finally, a chance to catch up on all the reading we've been meaning to do. Finally, an environment conducive to this meditation thing about whose beliefs we've heard so much. Perhaps we made those very assurances to ourselves when the COVID-19 pandemic set in. But according to the animated TED Ed lesson above, written by psychiatrist and correctional mental health expert Terry Kupers, Kupers, the negatives of the experience would well outweigh the positives. It all comes by answering the question, what happens to your brain without any social contact? Unsurprising, perhaps, isolation takes its greatest toll when imposed against the will of the isolated. I think that's a key thing, to where it's forced isolation, not self removal. And even more so when imposed for an indefinite duration. Early on, stress hormones may spike, and as time passes, that stress can become chronic, says the video's narrator. And this is where I started to pay attention to the other 2 paragraphs. Because for me, it has been a lot of stress. It's been a lot of stress. Lot of things going through my mind, a lot of things that I know that are not right, that I don't know how to make right, I don't know how to fix. And I've just gone into fuck it mode, and that's just where I've been for quite a few months now. Without the availability of social interactions as a sounding board where we can gauge how rational our perceptions are, one's sense of identity and reality becomes threatened. The stage is therefore set for depression, obsessions, suicidal ideation, and for some, delusions and hallucinations. Sleeping difficulties can manifest on the more strictly physical end, potentially accompanied by heart palpitations, headaches, dizziness, and hypersensitivity. Which, if they're talking about the physical portions, I'm like, become hypersensitive to touch. Is that what they're talking about? Because I don't know. But pretty much everything before heart palpitations, 100%. 100% is what I've been going through. 100%. While traveling in the United States, Charles Dickens bore witness to the punishment by solitary confinement already in effect in American prisons, coming away with the impression that it was worse than any torture of the body. He wrote that after a visit to a Philadelphia penitentiary whose very name reflects the theory held by the Quaker groups who introduced the practice in the late 18th century, that it could bring about reflection and penitence. After much research on the matter, Coopers has come to the conclusion that, in fact, it does immense damage to that that is contrary to rehabilitation while failing to reduce prison violence. If you are reading this, you may not be especially likely to be sentenced to involuntary confinement, but the next time you start feeling out of sorts for reasons you can't pin down, consider how long it's been since you've spent real time with real people. And I think this is becoming more and more of a growing problem, not just with me, but with a lot of people. Far too often now, we are stuck in this mode of, I sent you this link. Did you see this link? Or I'm gonna put you in this little goofy ass video. Let's do this little goofy ass video and all this other kind of shit. And we almost are in this mode where we feel like we have to document everything about our life. Like this shit has to stick around. And there are some times where I would agree with that. There are moments that come up that in my head I'm going, I would love to kind of have like a forever record of that incident or that event or this conversation. And I've found myself in this sort of holding pattern where I've reached out to numerous people several times about spending time together. And this is what I've gotten back. Did you catch it? That's essentially what I've gotten back. I've lost a lot of fun in my life recently. I don't really enjoy video games much anymore. I try. I went through and I did The Last of Us. We all saw my my spot on that. But when you have 460 people that agree with your shit, had to be hitting kind of a right note. And I used to go just like when I did there, and I'd go through and see who said something. But Steam has a thing to where your review will only be there for like 30 days, and then they yank it off the front page. Personally, I think they should have a top overall comment and a top overall good comment, a top overall bad comment on every game until that one gets unseated from another something. And it should just be like its own little section. Like they got enough fucking room on there. But yeah, I've told people before about anhedonia, and that's just the absence of joy. The things that I used to like, I don't anymore. The guitar back here, I haven't opened that case since before summer. I used to enjoy it. I don't anymore. I got one more year and that thing's paid off. So, whatever. And it's one of those ones to where I did the math on it and it was just $20 every month. You gave me 4 years, no interest. And the amount of money I spent on that, I could throw $20 at it a month. That's all the more I had to do. And I just went $1,000 worth of shit right there. And I only paid $20 a month for it. I do want to make it known that I'm not sharing all of this to try and guilt anyone into doing anything, especially not to me. But I always found it interesting where we have automatic phrases, and it's often how we don't really pay attention just to how often we say them or even how often we feel compelled to say them. Give you an example. You go to a funeral. You pay your respects. You talk to someone. What's one of the first things you ask them? Because it's one of the first things you ask anytime you see anybody for any reason. How you doing? We say it. We all know it's stupid as hell at the time, but we still say it. And I caught on to that years ago, and I would make the comment of, I know how this sounds. I don't mean it in the current context, but I'm just asking, how are you doing? How are you holding up? And rephrasing it that way at least lets the person know that I'm speaking to, that I'm thinking about their well-being. But in that same context, people will say other things like, it's been too long. Let's try not to have it be so long. And then months go by. And it always had me curious. And this is, I know this has happened to all kinds of people. You don't talk to someone for years, sometimes decades, and then all of a sudden they just come right back in and it's like, oh, it's been so long, let's not have it. It's like, well, you know the phone works both ways, right? You can pick up the phone too. And my big thing right now for me personally is being in that realm of deprivation, just being so deprived of it that even when I've reached out and told people how deprived I am of talking to people or conversing with people or hanging out with people like I used to, they all just, yeah, that sucks. Anyway, I had this great beer the other day, but it makes me wonder, is friendship just pageantry now? Think about it. When was the last time you reached out to someone just to hang out? When was the last time you called someone just to see how they're doing? When was the last time you sent a text that was just something fucking goofy? When was the last time you said, hey, it's Friday, coming over with a shit ton of popcorn. We're going to watch a couple of movies. I got them on this flash drive, or I got the DVDs or Blu-rays or whatever. I think the fact that there's so much that can be handed to a person automatically, I think we miss those together moments. And I'll tell you where I think it started. I think it started when Blockbuster went out of business. Because if you think about just the overall aspect of it all, you make a plan to meet with some people. And then you make a plan to go, let's get a movie or two. Fuck yeah. You go get the movies, I go get the pizza. Well, you go get the movies and the pizza, I go get the drinks. Well, you go get the movies and the pizzas and the drinks, I'm going to go get the veggie trays or whatever the fuck. And then you make a big old ordeal about it. You watch the movie, like 4 to 10 of you. And then you sit there and you're eating and you're talking about the movie and you're doing all this other kind of stuff. You're like, yeah, this is great. You're like, fucking put in another one. We still got another pizza and it's still room temperature. Let's rock this bitch. And so you watch another movie. And then you enjoy that one. You talk about that one. Next thing you know, you're going, oh, fuck, it's 2 a.m. I got to go to bed. I got to get my asshole bleached tomorrow or whatever the fuck it is. But we've lost those moments. I had a similar thing a couple weeks ago. Had a couple friends of mine, and I had asked them if they had seen the movie The Imitation Game. And I don't know why, but I really liked that movie. I like the historical references to it, and I like the fact that there was a point in time to where they cracked the code, figured it all out, but had just enough victories for them not to get caught on to what they were doing, because they were literally learning their battle plans as they went, you know, breaking the Enigma machine and Alan Turing and stuff like that. And having that moment where you know you're going to have to take some losses. You could win every single one of them that's coming up, but then they're going to change everything. And then you're going to be screwed in figuring it out. Like, just the mental weight of that hangs on someone is crazy. And I bring this up because I had asked them if they saw it and they said no. I said, I want to try something. Humor me for a moment. And I pulled it up on VLC, double clicked my link, and it broadcast it through Discord. And we watched the movie. I just thought it was kind of a nice little moment. Cooge and his girl are, see now he's north, they are way that way. But I got to watch a movie with him. It's the first movie I've watched with anybody since Endgame with my cousin. And there was a TikTok that came up a couple months ago where it was talking about one thing you guys need to start doing is go to concerts by yourself. And I'll say yes and no. It's really, really awesome to go to a concert with somebody. One of my absolute favorite moments at a concert ever was just down the street at a place called The Pageant. There was a group called the Toadies that was pretty big in the 90s. I hate that everybody says Possum King was their only hit. And I'm going, I Come From the Water. Hello? Tyler? Hello? I Burn? Hello? There was at least 4 or 5 singles off that first record. But they had this advertisement they were coming out with a 20-year anniversary for their debut record, Rubberneck. And I was like, oh, I gotta go. Got a hold of my best friend. Asked him if he wanted to go. Said, hell yeah. To date, it's the second concert we had ever been to. I think it's the second. Because I'm pretty sure he went with me at my first official concert. And that was Smashing Pumpkins during the Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness tour. But he really wanted to hear Tyler by the Toadies. And I wanted to hear I Burn. And they start playing, and I'm going, this is so cool. It's like, being in fucking high school all over again. They kept playing a couple, and they kept playing a couple, and all of a sudden it dawned on me, I went, they're just playing the record. He goes, what? I said, they're just playing the record. From one song to the next. They are playing the record. The next song should be blah. And then, pew, there it went. So I was like, you're going to hear Tyler, and I'm going to get to hear I Burn. This is great. And at that moment, the entire energy from the concert, from the two of us, shifted. Because it went from questioning to, we don't have to question anymore. We don't have to wonder. We've cracked the code. And now we can sit there and just wait whenever she pulls the covers tighter. And be able to enjoy the night knowing that we're going to hear that live. And they finished with I Burn. And we were all clapping. And the dude goes, that's Rubberneck. And I kind of look at him. And the singer was talking. And I just didn't pay attention to anything they said. I went. And then he goes, so you guys want to hear some new shit? And I turned to my best friend and I go, you want to go? He goes, yeah, I could go. I said, I literally got everything that I came here for. I really don't care if we leave or if we stay. He goes, I don't either. But fuck it. End on a high note. Let's go. Bet. And we left. Neither one of us cared that we didn't stay for the rest of the show. We went from almost dead center in general admission to out the door. And we didn't care. Did not care. But there's other times where going by yourself is amazing. Every time, and I mean every time I've seen Lamb of God, with the exception of 2 times. The very first time, which was shortly after Wrath came out. And then a few years ago when they went on tour with Megadeth, Trivium, and Hatebreed. Because it went Hatebreed, which I still don't understand why they opened for Trivium. Trivium should have opened. Trivium, which was fucking terrible. And then Lamb of God. And then Megadeth. And at that point, I was just kind of going, Megadeth sounds kind of bad, man. Like, musically, it sounds great, but I couldn't understand a word Dave Mustaine was saying. I'm going, is he even singing? Because it sounds like he's just going on like this, and he's just talking. It's just not right. I'm like, what is? Like, I know he just had his accident or whatever. He just got done with some medical stuff and got medically cleared to play guitar again. But I'm going, this is bad. And so the buddy of mine that I gave a ticket to, I was like, we could go if you want. He goes, let's stay for a couple more songs. I said, all right, stay for a couple more songs. We got to hear Hangar 18 live, which was pretty awesome. And then he goes, all right, I'm good. All right. And we left. But any other time that I see Lamb of God, when he's like, you guys want to hear one more? I was like, oh, shit, that's my cue. And I leave. One, I know they're going to play Redneck. They always end off with a banger. They send you out with a banger, and everybody knows Redneck, and everybody sings along to it. Because it's a motherfucking invitation. And I leave on purpose. Not because I don't want to hear Redneck live. I love hearing Redneck live. It's great. But I don't love Redneck live more than sitting in concert traffic by yourself. Sitting in concert traffic by yourself blows. It sucks because I got no one to talk to. I got everyone to scream at. I got all types of people that are just going, why are only 4 cars getting through this fucking light? We should be able to get like 30. Let's roll. So no, I leave. I leave early. The last time that I stayed at a concert that I went to by myself, but met some people while I was there. A friend of mine, Les, I met there. It was, I don't remember who the first band was because I think I got there a little late. But then it was Whitechapel and then Cannibal Corpse. And it was in a place downtown. I want to say it was called the Red Room. And since it was downtown, I went, I don't drive downtown. I go to North Hanley, hop on the fucking Metrolink, and figure out what stop I got to get to or hop off, and then I go from there. And there was a period of about 2 to 3 blocks where I was walking on MLK and walking through the SLU campus. Getting there wasn't so bad. Leaving was bad. The people that I met there, they all left. And I went, fuck it. I'm staying for the whole damn show. Because it had been a while since I had seen Corpse. And I was like, I got to hear Hammer Smash Face live. And, of course, that's the last song they played. Side note, I did get 2 posters. One from Whitechapel, one from Cannibal Corpse. Both autographed. And I picked them up. It's one of the first things I do when I get there. If the bands haven't started playing yet, I go get my merch. I know some people are like, oh, I don't want to hold it. I'd rather hold it because once it's done, I'm out. I'm not going to sit in this long-ass line, and by the time I get there, nothing's there. Nope. Or even worse, what you want is there, but you're too fat for it. And then you're like, well, fuck. But anyway, when I left the show that night, it was pouring down rain. Now, remember what I just said. I bought autographed posters. Had 3 of them. 1 Cannibal Corpse, 2 Whitechapel. One of the Whitechapels went to Cooge. I took the posters, wrapped the shirts that I bought around them, opened up my hoodie, slid it down my hoodie, held the inside of my hoodie pocket to hold the bottom of it. The posters came to right about here, which is where my hood came up with my hat, and I just kind of held this out a little bit so that I would protect the posters. And I walked back to the Metrolink, which is about 8 blocks away from where I was. Got there shortly after midnight. And I waited. And I waited. And I waited. Now, if you've ever been to St. Louis and on the Metrolink, especially if you're trying to go back west, once you get past, I think it's Shrewsbury, that divides whether you get a red or a blue line. But to get back out here to more North County, you need the red line. So you need westbound red line. I waited 20 minutes before I saw my first train. And it was eastbound. I was like, fuck. All right. Well, nope. So waited another 20 minutes. We're approaching 20 minutes to 1 o'clock in the morning. And I still had to work the next day. And what do I get? Another eastbound train. Son of a bitch. 10 minutes later, another eastbound train. I'm like, well, they're coming more frequently, but why have there been 3 going one way and nothing coming the other way? And finally, over the speakers, I hear the next westbound train will be arriving. And I'm going, oh, fucking thank you. Because at that point, I'm thinking, it's almost 1 a.m. Who in the hell can I call to come get my ass? Who would probably be there by close to 2 o'clock in the morning so that I could get back home to go to bed and be at work by 8:30 in the morning. And the westbound train that came was Red Line. It took almost an hour for that one westbound train to show up. But that was, again, another situation to where I would have almost rather have been there by myself than drag someone else through all of that. That's just how that is for me. It's not like I wouldn't want anybody to suffer, but if they were cool with it, that's a cool story to share. But most people wouldn't want to be put in that situation. Most people would have probably like, I'll drive down there and meet you there. Like, all right. But going back to what that TikTok said about, yeah, it's nice going to concerts by yourself. But there's other times where you wish someone was there to have an experience with you. And the experience that I wish I would have been able to share with someone was when I saw, I think it was Jason Richardson opened up, and he was good, but I'm going, it's just one dude on a stage with a guitar and a backtrack, or a backing track, I should say. And I'm going, that's cool and all, but this is boring, man. You need to get some lyrics in here, someone to sing or something. But it was just meh. And then there was someone else. I don't remember who it was. I didn't care. And then Death Clock came on. I have watched Death Clock every single time they've come to St. Louis. And it was the guest after that I was really excited for. And it was Baby Metal. Mainly because I hadn't seen him live. But I thought it was just kind of weird that you have like Death Clock and this Jason Richardson, just guitar virtuoso dude, and then Baby Metal. But I went, meh. I called it the Death Baby. They called it something else. But there was a point in time where they were having a camera on the crowd from the top of the stage. And that camera was projected to the back of the stage. So if you were waving or had your lighter or had your flash on your phone or whatever, you could see yourself on the backdrop of Baby Metal. And they did this song, and I didn't know what it was called at the time. There was quite a few songs that they played that I did know. But I didn't know what this one was, and I just kind of went, what the hell is this? And there was a point in time where I think it's Yumi Metal. She goes, it's a dark world out there, and I need you to help me spread some light on everything. So take your phones out and turn your lights on. And that backdrop that I mentioned from the camera that was above went from here's sort of a crowd of people to it's almost whitewashed with everybody's lights on their phone. And there was sort of one of those, I'm going to sing something, then you repeat it. And they did that for about a minute or so, and it was extremely moving. And if ever you want to know kind of what that experience was, if you look up Baby Metal Monochrome live, you'll get the same experience that I got live. And when I got back And I sat in this chair and I went, I have to figure out what that song was. And I'm just going through Baby Metal live songs, just trying to figure it out. And finally I stumbled across it. And the name of the song has been etched in my brain ever since. But it is the most moving experience I have ever had at a concert, besides just fucking getting a rush from shit. And that was one of those moments I wish I had someone else to share that with, so that way I could relive that moment in a conversation with them of that shared memory. So while that TikTok was very correct, do go by yourself, but try to bring others with you. And just I'm still going to go. Because I've had that mentality since 1997, my graduating year of high school. I'm like, oh, you don't want to go? I'm going to go. And I still went. I've been to so many goddamn concerts. Let me show you this shit. Because I was talking with my best friend a while ago, and he goes, I've been to 6 concerts. My entire life is like, shit. There were years where I'd go to 6 in a year. Where are you at? There we go. Lamb of God 6 times. Killswitch Engage twice. Once with Jesse, once with Howard. Marilyn Manson, Slipknot 4 times. August Burns Red, Snot. That was after Lynn Strait died. Five Finger Death Punch, Kitty, Taproot, Deftones, Slayer twice, Children of Bodom. Alexi Laho was in a car accident and couldn't really play, but he still showed up. It's just sad he literally drank himself to death. Tool, Mudvayne, ICP, Busy Bone, Mindless Self-Indulgence, Biohazard, all of these were in the same concert. But, I mean, I've got tons of bands that I've seen live. Tons. And it's an experience that I always enjoy. I'll leave you with one of my claim to fames. I used to have this t-shirt. See if I can find it real quick. Oh, it'll probably take me a while to find it. But I used to have this t-shirt. Oh, hold on. Yeah, this was it. I used to have this t-shirt. There are 2 people fucking in the back of this shirt. It's just hilariously random. Just kidding, believe in Jesus. I find it funny as hell. And so I wore this shirt. I called it my concert shirt. For the most part, if I went to a concert, I was wearing that shirt. And I was wearing that shirt Mayhem Festival. I want to say it was 2008. And I don't remember what the band was, but they had just finished their set. And the way that it was set up for Mayhem Festival was you had one stage here, and a gap in the middle. So you would just kind of shuffle and then shuffle back and just keep going back and forth. And Machine Head was there, and I think that was the year I got to see Suicide Silence with Mitch Lucker. And I think that's who it was. Is Suicide Silence just finished up their set, and I wanted to go find their record because I'd never heard of them, and I went, oh, shit, all right. Because I'm not the type of person that I will go to a concert, and if I don't know a lot of the bands that are playing beforehand, I don't go see them. But if it's a festival thing, I'll go early, and it's almost like window shopping for new groups. And Suicide Silence on one of those Mayhem festivals was where I did learn about them. So anyway, I'm wandering around through the merch booths, and I see this one just pop up canopy, and it was all camouflage. And I still think it was called something else because Dime used to say it a lot of "get your pull." But I could have swore it was called something else. And anyway, I go walking over there, and the whole day I had been hearing "turn around, turn around" of people wanting to see both sides of my "there are two people fucking on the back of this shirt. And so it was just second nature to me. I hear "turn around," I turn. And so I go up and I'm looking at the tables and I'm looking around and I hear "turn around." So I turn back around and I turn. And she just starts laughing. She goes, "That's one of the best shirts I've seen in a long time. Hang on one second." Goes to about one of those 6 foot tall Craftsman toolboxes, that are on wheels and that kind of have like a little shelf and then the extra little drawers and shit everywhere. She goes up to one of the top drawers, opens it, reaches her hand in, and then pushes the drawer shut. And she comes up to me like this. And I put my hand out like this, and I feel two things plop into my palm. And I look down. One is black, one is green. And on the black one, I see a screw, and it says Dimebag underneath it. And I'd sit there for a second, and I'm like, oh, shit. These are Dimebag Darrell picks. And at that moment, I look up, and it dawns on me who I'm looking at and who I just had an interaction with. Rita Haney, Dimebag's widow. 100% true story. And she thanked me for having such a fun shirt. She really enjoyed it. And I thanked her. I was like, "This is incredible. Thank you so much." And she just said, "Stay hydrated." And I immediately opened up my wallet, put those in the wallet itself, closed it up, put it back in my pocket. And those two didn't leave my wallet for a few months. And then it dawned on me, hey, you have a sweaty ass and you sweat a lot. If you sweat too much and all of the paint from that pick wears off, you're going to hate yourself. So when you get home, take them shits out. And they're in a box somewhere in my storage shed. But yeah, I don't have anyone that went with me that year that could confirm that story. But I'm telling you, it's 100% true. Even trying to find that shirt on T-Shirt Hell, which is where I got it, was a pain in my ass. But there's been a few shirts from that site that I'm going, oh, there ain't no fucking way in hell I'm wearing that thing. But then there's others like, oh, that one's great, like that one. But, that's going back to the topic at the very beginning of this video. Social interactions. They're powerful as hell. And there are people in your life that are probably just as desperate for attention and time spent as you might be for company. But which one gives first? As I've aged more and more, I've started to learn that all I really need and all I really want half the time, just an invitation. So maybe invite somebody. Even if it's just to see if you can get someone to go out to a park and have some fucking ice cream or a Subway sandwich or whatever. Because we don't get time back. It's the most precious thing on earth.